Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Friends, we are moving on to the next session of today's talk by Sri Jatayu, and was just one of the most important characters in Srimad Ramayanam, as we all know, who has given his life to protect the mother Sita. So, what more than this name of Jatayu that a devotee of Rama who is inspired with Ramayana would love to have? Jatayu is the pen name of Sri Shankar Narayanan, and who is a resident of Bangalore, who by vocation is an electronics technology professional, but has taken up the passion of writing, authoring a lot of articles, books, and columns as well. And we have with us Sri Jatayu, who is known to me for quite some time, and often I have been reading his wonderful work through Facebook and through various channels wherever he would share. So we have a privilege in inviting him today. In fact, he's one of the first persons. Once I conceived this concept of this Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum, I asked him especially to bring in, I know the depth of his knowledge in the whole spirituality, scriptures, everything, particularly on Tamil literatures, because when we look into Tamil, today in the current scenario in Tamil Nadu, a lot of things to separate the language, the region, everything out of our ancient spirituality, our literature, wisdom is quite kind of things which are happening. In this situation, it is currently even my guru Sri Ranganji has started something Vedam Nirainda Tamil Nadu, which again it's from Subramania Bharati, our song only. So it is from those ancient times. We have seen Tamil and Sanskritam going together. So Krishna especially have a great influence over Tamil literatures, not just only the literatures of Alvars or anything, even the older Sangha literatures of Paripadal and all those things, definitely it is there. So I had, in fact, earlier I had requested Jatayuji to present a kind of overview of the entire Tamil literature where Krishna's influence could be there. And then, but 3 days back when we spoke, again we brought it more focused to the literature of the poetry of Subramania Bharati. Just in 3 days on September 11th, when we have the Universal Brotherhood Day, the day of Swami Vivekananda's speech at Chicago, we'll also have the Aradhana, the Smarana Divas of Subramania Bharati, who left his body that day in a Kshetra Tiruvallikeni, which is Parthasarathi's Kshetra in Chennai. So therefore, in that context, we thought we would bring it to focused on Subramania Bharati's thing. So Sri Jatayuji has been writing on a range of topics centered around cultural themes and Hindutva since 2005, both in Tamil as well as English. Is well read on the Hindu philosophy, history, culture, and the arts. He is a scholar of Tamil literature, especially the Kamba Ramayanam. A collection of his Tamil essays has been published as a book of Kalam Thorum Narasimham. And in 2015, it was published. He is on the editorial board of the website tamilhindu.com and also Tamil Monthly magazine Valam. And over Facebook also, he keeps sharing many of his translations and wonderful articles, literatures, sometimes more things which are creating controversies, the current situation, but his clarity from the Hindutva point of view, which he would be often presenting. And today, something which is very dear to my heart, the Kannan Paattu, the songs of Subramania Bharati, who broke the conventions of looking into the Bhavams, only the Panchamaha Bhava, something from where not just looking at Bhagavan as Yajaman, he made him also a servant for him. And which has happened in many of the, if you go to Maharashtra and see Eknath or Namdev and all those Charitram, Krishna has done that. He's Bhakta Vatsala. So as yesterday, Aishwarya sang and danced. So he's Bhakta Vatsala. He would do anything for the devotee's sake. That's what we see in Subramania Bharati sing. And also he would not compromise on his masculinity and then would become a Gopika. Rather, he made Krishna to become a Kannamma. So that kind of wonderful poetic beauty also we will see from Subramania Bharati's Kavis. Over to Jatayuji. Welcome on behalf of Adhyatma Yoga and Advaita Academy. And over to you, sir.
Can you hear me, Subbuji? Subbuji, you can hear me, right? Yeah. Namaskara. Yes. Yeah. Namaskara to all. Thank you, Subbuji, for that introduction. So today, the topic of our discussion is Subramania Bharati's Kannan Paattu. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum, this series has been presenting many facets of Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna's life, philosophy, teachings, various art forms, the bhaktas, everything. So in line with that, let's enjoy this poetry of Subramania Bharati and also contemplate on this topic. As many of you may know, Subramania Bharati lived a very short life of just 39 years, from 1882 to 1921. And within this short span of life, he lived a very fulfilling and tremendous life. He was a nationalist poet. He revolutionized Tamil poetry and gave it a completely new form and content. He was a great Rasika, a poet of a high merit, and he was also a Vedantin and a lover of life. And Shakti and Krishna, the divine mother and the divine cowherd, the divine avatara. These two divine forms were his cherished deities, Ishta Devatas among the Hindu pantheon. So on both these deities, he has written a lot of poetry. So this Kannan Paattu consists of about 23 poems of Subramania Bharati, which he authored when he lived in Pondicherry. He was living a life of a fugitive, hounded by the policemen and the spies of the British regime. So those days, Puducherry was a refuge of nationalists and patriots. We know that Sri Aurobindo also lived there during that time. So even while at the center of this tumultuous national struggle and the freedom movement, Subramania Bharati's mind always was set on the divine and the joys of life. So during this phase of his life, when he was in Pondicherry, he wrote some of the most sublime of his poetries, like this Kannan Paattu, Panchali Sabadam, which is based on a short kavya, based on an episode in the Mahabharata, and also Kuil Paattu, a philosophical epic. So that's the background of this series. So in all these 23 poems, Bharati gives titles like My Kannan. It is like, Kannan Yen Tholan, Kannan Yen Thai. So Krishna, my friend, Krishna, my father, Kannan Yen Thai, Krishna, my mother, Kannan Yen Sevagan, Krishna, my servant, Kannan Yen Sidan, Krishna, my student, Kannan Yen Arasan, Krishna, my king. So it is like a sense of intimacy that a bhakta feels for his Bhagavan. So my Kannan, that is one major spirit behind these poems. You may ask, so in the Hindu tradition, we have a lot of examples where, there are some bhaktas who have seen the Lord as absolute Brahman. There are some bhaktas like Meera and Andal who have seen him as his beloved, Nayaka, in the Nayaki Bhava or Madhura Bhava. There are some who have seen Krishna as a small child. But these are all, so it is like one intimate Bhava that they expressed. There are hardly any poets or bhaktas who have expressed this range of bhavas, like what Bharati has done here. So there is a Dasya Bhakti, Sakhya Bhakti, Madhura Bhakti, but you typically don't see all of them together in one personality. So Bharati is a very rare case. There you see all of this. Very interesting. So a question may arise in your mind as to why this? What is the purpose of experiencing and enjoying Krishna in so many ways? That's a very interesting and a very philosophical question. Let's leave that to the later part of this talk. I certainly cover it. But before that, let us soak ourselves in some very delightful poetry. In fact, as we walk through these poems, that itself will unravel the answer to the questions that are in our mind. Kannan and Thoran, says the poet. You know, Krishna is such a good friend that பொன்னவிர் மேனி சுபத்திரை மாதை புறங்கொண்டு போவதற்கே என்ன வழி என்று கேட்கில் உபாயம் இருகணத்தை உரைப்பான். You know, I have an eye on his sister, Subhadra, who has this golden hued body. So beautiful she is. I just want to, you know, their whole clan is against marrying herself to a Pandava prince or someone. They have set their eyes some other king, but I want to kidnap her. Can you suggest a trick? If I ask him, in 2 minutes, he gives me the trick. What a good friend. And when I want to fight with Karna, who is a great archer, he has trick for that too. What a great friend he is. So as you see, so here the poet has the Bhava of Arjuna, so the greatest friend of Krishna. So he sings the glories of his friend. We always, you know, when you want to talk about your closest friend, there is so much joy. So the poet keeps on singing the qualities of his friend. He says, உண்மை தவறி நடப்பவர் தம்மை உதைத்து நசுக்கிடுவான். அருள் வன்மையினால் அவன் மாத்திரம் பொய்கள் மலைமலையாய் உரைப்பான். My friend Krishna, he trashes and tramples those people who deviate from truth in their ways. But he himself, he keeps telling mountains of lies through his sheer power of grace. பெண்மை குணமுடையான் சில நேரம் பித்தர் குணமுடையான், தன்மை குணமுடையான் சில நேரம் தழலின் குணமுடையான். He is womanly at times. He is like a madman at some other times. He is tender and cool at times. At some other times, he is like blazing fire. So much contradictions. Yet he is a great friend. And what is the greatest thing that he did for me? You know, கீதை உரைத்தனை இன்புறச் செய்தவன் கீர்த்திகள் வாழ்த்திடுவேன். He taught me the Gita. Oh, what great honor that could be there. So sings the poet about his friend Krishna. Then comes Kannan and Tandai. You know, Krishna, my father. So now you start thinking, okay, so as a friend, he assumed the bhava of Arjuna. So now some Nandagopa or Vasudeva is going to come. No, that's not true. An ordinary poet would do that, but not Bharati. So it goes on like this. Someone comes and asks him, what is the name of your father? He says, Navu tuniguvadillai endai namathai velippada uraippadakke. You know, my father's name is so lofty, so holy, that even to say that explicitly with my speech, I can't dare to do that. Okay, but still, you know, there will be some name, popular name, say that. Then he says, யாவரும் தெரிந்திடவே எங்கள் ஈசன் என்றும் கண்ணன் என்றும் சொல்வது. We call him our Lord, our Kannan. Oh, is that so? But I saw some other people calling him by different names. What is all that? Oh, மூவகை பெயர் புனைந்தே அவன் முகமறியாதவர் சண்டைகள் செய்வார். You know, these people, they always keep quarreling on his name. Oh, he has this name only. He is only known by that name, etc. These are the people who don't even know his face. You know, those who have really seen him, those who know his face, They say Sahasra Namne Purushaya Shashvate. Every name is his name. He is the quintessence of all the names and forms in the world. Okay. Oh, okay. I many names. I heard that he is a great Deva. Ha 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 ha. He says, Devar Kulattavan Indre, Avan Seidi Teriadavar Silar Sulva. Only those who don't know about him, they say he is a celestial being, Deva. Okay, he should have some family, clan, lineage. He should have some kulam. I mean, whenever you ask somebody's father, what is your kulam? It's the first question people ask in India. Yeah. So then he starts replying, Pirandadu Marakulatil, Avan Vedamara Valarndadum Idekulatil. He was born in a Kshatriya clan in Mathura. But he didn't grow up in that. Without any difference, any sense of distinction. He grew up in Gokula among the cowherd people. Oh, so what did he become? Sirandadu Parpanarulle, Sila Setti Makkalodu Miga Palakam. He became the most exalted Brahmana among all the Brahmanas. Oh, what a great glory. He was the one, he said, Vedanta Krit Veda Videva Chaham. I am the one who created Vedanta. I know all the Vedas, a cowherd boy. And all the great Brahmanas accepted it wholeheartedly. The greatest of the Brahmanas, Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, everyone started writing commentaries upon commentaries on these most exalted Brahmana. Sila Setti Makkalodu Miga Palakam. He had a lot of affinity to, many Vaishyas, merchants. Like when he went to Mathura, he met the lady who was supplying garlands to Kamsa, the man who was supplying garlands to Kamsa, the lady who supplied sandal paste to Kamsa. He showered his grace on all these people. So you cannot really confine him to one kula. Nirandanil Karumai Gondan, Avan Neyamura Kalipadu Punnirappengai. He was pitch black in color, but all the golden hued damsels were getting enchanted by him. They fell for him. Such is the glory of my father, says Bharati. So now you know the Krishna that he presents. What a lofty idea of Krishna. So how he harmoniously blends the Puranic legends of Krishna and brings out a very a socially relevant idea for the whole of Hindu society to emulate. In a way, this is also like a statement from Bharati. So as you know, Bharati was a very radical person. So he did not respect much of the jati rules and inhibitions. In fact, he moved freely with people from all the castes. When he was in Puducherry, he even gave the Upanayana and Gayatri mantra to a person from a SC community called Kanagalingam. So in this poetry, Bharati gives a statement. Being a worthy son of Sri Krishna, what else he could do? My father is beyond all kulam and all color and everything. And that is the principle that I would also emulate. It appears. That's what Bharati is. So that is Kannanyan Thandai. Then there is this poem, Kannanyan Thai, Krishna, my mother. And about his father, he says one more thing. See, I told that my father had all these multiple kulam and everything. He was Dinabandhu. He is most friendly with the poorest of the poor people. We all know Kuchela, how he maintained his friendship with him. Naligaikor Buddhi Udayan, Uru Nal Irundabadi, Matur Nali. He is a man who just keeps changing every minute and every day. Isn't that true? So a worshipper of Krishna, every time you read about Krishna or you think about Krishna, newer and newer thoughts keeps coming. There is nothing that is old or stagnated or stale with Krishna. So, my father is like that. Then comes Kannan and Thai, Krishna, my mother. Unna unna tevittade, ammai uyirenum mulayinil unarvenum paal. Everyone remembers his or her mother by the first feed that they have taken from her. So he says, Kannan ennum peyarudayal, this mother of mine, who has a name Kannan, the breast milk that she gave me, unna unna tevittade, I never get satiated by its taste, lifelong. So she gave me unarvenum paal, a milk of consciousness. That's what she fed me. And her breasts were the very form of life. Uyirenum mulayinil unarvenum paal. Every mother tells stories to her children. She also told me stories. Lot of stories. What are they? Inbamena sila kadaigal. எனக்கு ஏற்றம் என்றும் வெற்றி என்றும் சில கதைகள். She told me stories which were called happiness. There were stories which elevations for me, victory for me. There were stories like that. துன்பமென சில கதைகள், கெட்ட தோல்வி என்றும் வீழ்ச்சி என்றும் சில கதைகள். She also told me stories which were called sufferings, bad times, defeats, falls. These stories also she told me. Both these stories she told me and brought me up. And then he goes on. So in this poem, Bharati talks about Srishti in a beautiful way. Oh, my mother, just for my joy, she created the entire universe, the trees, the fruits, all the joys of life, everything. He goes on. And another much loved poem in this series is Kannan and Sevaka. Krishna, my Sevaka or servant. The poets are saying, oh, there is always trouble with these servant fellows. Kuli miga ketpar, kuduttadellam tham marappar, velai miga vaittirundal veettile tangiduvar. These servant fellows are too much of a problem. They always keep asking higher and higher wages. Every month increase the salary. They keep saying, whatever I give, they keep forgetting that the master has paid them so well, so much. Enada, ni netrai kingu varavillai endral. They keep on vanishing in the thin air. If I ask these servant fellows, why didn't you come yesterday? They say, oh, paanaile thelirundu pallal kadithadenbar, pattiyar settu vitta 18am naal enbar, 12am naal enbar. Oh, the scorpion bit me yesterday, sir. That's why I could not come. My grandfather died. And there is these ceremonies, 3rd day, 10th day ceremonies. That's why they keep on giving such lame excuses. Poyamal poyuraipa. These fellows, whatever comes from their mouth is only lies. Sevagaral patta siramamiga undugandir. Sevagar illavidilo seigai nadakkavillai. With these servant fellows, there is too much of trouble. But if there are no servants, nothing gets done. So when I was in such big problem, suddenly one man came. Engirundo vandan, idachadi naan endran. He came from somewhere. He said, sir, I am born in the jati of cowherds. Then he started narrating all his capabilities. Sir, I know how to graze cows. I know how to maintain the household. I know how to take care of, all the things inside the house, your jewels, your clothes, your children. I'll be very nice to everyone, sir. Okay, what have you learned? I asked him. Sir, I haven't learned any major thing like that. Katra vittai edum illai. Kattu manidan ayye. I'm more of like a natural, a prakrita person, sir. I haven't learned anything as such. I'm more like a forester. Okay. Kuli enna ketkinrai kur. Then he says, okay, yeah, so you seem to be a very promising servant. What wages do you ask? Then he says, Taligattum pendatti sandadigal edumillai. Sir, I am a person without any attachments. I don't have wife, children, or anything. I am beyond all that. Nanor Tanyal. I am a very lone person in all over the universe. Nenjilulla kadal peridanakku, kasu peridillai. It is the love in the heart that matters to me, not money. So then I employed him. Oh, such a nice and innocent fellow, so different from all the servants that I had. And the moment this Kannan came as a servant in my house, suddenly everything started shining. All people in the house are so happy, every work gets done. And the Kannan, I can't find even one single fault with this Kannan. Panbile Deivamai, Parvaile Sevaganai. Is this man a god? But he just looks like a servant. Ingivanai yan perave, enna tavam seidu vitte. What penance did I do to get this person as my servant? Kannan yanadagatte kaal vaikta naal mudalai. The day this Kannan stepped inside my household, ennam vicharam yeduvum avan poruppai. I don't have to worry about anything. All my burdens are off my shoulders. It is him. It is he, this servant Kannan, who is taking care of everything. Ennam vicharam yeduvum avan poruppai. My thoughts, even that, those are his responsibilities now. And what is the result? Selvam, Ilamanbu, Siv Sirappu, Narkirti, Kalvi, Arivu, Kavithai, Siva Yogam. Odisser Nalamanaitum, Wongi Varihindranakan. My household has become prosperous. Everyone has become noble. The Kirti has increased. And whatever I learn, it shines in my intellect. I have become a good poet. And Shiva Yogam, which I was practicing, is just, I'm getting, I'm getting siddhis in that. Uliseer Nalamanithum, all the illuminating things, illustrious things are coming to me. So he says, such a beautiful poem. So normally it is the loyal servant whom we all trust. Everybody trusts their servants. So all the responsibilities, you just put it on the shoulders of the servant. You can remain peaceful. You can just be relaxed and cool. And that is the quality that Krishna brings in one's life in whatever form that you approach him. Then he talks about Kannan in Arasan, not a very popular poem. So he says our King Kannan is a very cool guy. The enemies, all his enemies are issuing all kind of intimidations and threats and everything. This person is just playing the flute. He is very relaxed and he just sitting and he jokes around whenever we go tell him, oh Kannan, what will happen to our country? He just keeps smiling. But don't underestimate him. Kalam vandu kai koodum appodilor, kanathile pudithaga vilanguvar. But when the time demands, when there is a war cry at the borders, he suddenly becomes anew at that very moment. Sakkarathai eduppadu oru ganam, dharmam paaril thalaithal maruganam. In this moment, he takes the chakra in his hand. The next moment, dharma gets refreshed. dharma is firmly established in the very next moment. Igganattil idaiganam ondrundo. Is there any intermediate moment between these two? Idanulle pagai maitida vallan kan. He vanquishes his enemies in that gap. Such is his parakrama, his bravery. And then there is this interesting story of, the student Kannan, very peculiar story. So the Bharati starts saying, I am a poet. I tried writing all kind of poetries. I had genuine pride about my knowledge and my skill in composing poetry and everything. Then, normally I don't take students who are dullards and that kind of people. This person, Kannan, came one day. So he said, Maya Kannan Valindenai Charndu. It's a very enchanting person he was. Maya Kannan. Pugarchigal Kuriyum, Pulamayai Viandum, Palavagayal Agapattura Chedan. So he praised my poetry. He wondered, he expressed surprise at my knowledge. And he just created some kind of attachment in my heart towards him. I took him as my disciple. Then I expected him to be a very obedient disciple. So I gave him a lot of commandments. Innadu seidide, ivarodu palage, innadu kattide, inna nool karpa. Hey, you should do this. You should not do that. Oh, you should not move around those fellows. Yeah. They are of different type. Don't study that. This is the book you have to study. I kept giving all these commands to him. But you know what he did? How he behaved? Kadaile Kanavan Solinukella, Edir Seyum Manavia Pole, Neredir Neriye Nadapavanayina. Whatever I tell him, he will do exactly the opposite thing of what I taught him. I told him so many good things, good conduct, good behavior is what I taught him. But none of that this student Kannan follows. The whole town started abusing him as a madman. I tried to correct him in so many ways. With all the tricks, I tried to put him towards good path. Nothing worked out. Then I got one idea. I haven't given any proper work to him. A Shishya should always do some seva for the Guru. I must have put him into some activity that would have set him right. Yavarenum Ivanai or Todilil, or Idandanil, Oru Vali Valia, Nirthuvenayin, Nerutriva. Because I gave him too much of freedom, he's doing this. I have to give him some proper activity. He will sit at one place and do all that. Okay. So then he called Kannan. I called Kannan. He said, my creations, these poems, why don't you become a scribe for my poems? Just start writing them, My manuscripts are not so good. Sometimes I just tell the poems extempore. Why don't you take it down and write it? So he stood for some time and then he said, Sir, I shall go. I explained him about this activity, which will do good for him. He listened to all that and then I said, Sir, I shall go. I became very angry. Just don't stand before me. Get lost, I shouted. He just smiled. And he left. The moment he started leaving, suddenly something pinched my heart. Oh, he is leaving. Tears came onto my eyes. I called him. I told him, Nindanai semmai seidida karidi ededo seide. Totruvittyenada. Surchigal arinde. Oh, Kannan, you are my disciple. I thought you are not perfect. I wanted to make you perfect. I tried all kinds of tricks to set right all the things that I thought are not perfect in you. But I stand defeated now. All my works have become vain. I accept it. The moment I said this, Kannan came back smiling. He brought a pen. That old story that I had given him for scribing, he just wrote it in a minute. And when he showed me the manuscript, it was an entirely new thing. That which my mind wanted to write, but that I could not write myself. And then Kannan, my student, disappeared immediately. But then he came into my heart and then he said, Tumbam ingendrum ini ninakku ennal eithidadu. Sir, my Guru, there won't be any suffering for you because of me. Don't worry. And then he said, Magane, ஒன்றை ஆக்குதல் மாற்றுதல் அழித்திடல் எல்லாம் நின் செயல் அன்று காண். Magane, my son, to make a thing, to destroy a thing, to change a thing, do you think all this are possible for you? Can you really do anything like that? Do you feel yourself as a karta? தோற்றேன் என நீ உரைத்திடும் போதிலே வென்றாய். The moment you say, I stand defeated, you win. உலகினில் தோன்றிய தொழிலெல்லாம் ஆசையும் தாபமும் அகற்றியே புரி வாழ்க நீ என்றான். In this world, do any kind of work without any desire, without any remorse. So that way, Kannan spoke in my heart. So that thus ends this beautiful poetry. So Bharati starts this poetry in a very Vedantic way. Before he says, Kannan came as my student, he says what that Kannan is. Yane yagi yennalar piravai, yanum avayum irandinum verai, yado purulam maya Kannan. This elusive being called the enchanter Kannan came to me as a disciple. This Kannan, who is really me, he is indeed me, and he is also the things other than me. He is also the things that are neither me and nor those things. Such Kannan came to me as a disciple. That's how that poem goes. Kannan, another Sadguru, is another interesting poem where Krishna is the teacher and not the disciple. So here Bharati is a student with thirst for knowledge. He says, I wandered all over the world, all over Bharatavarsha, here and there, learned all the Shastras. My mind was full of ambiguity and doubt and agitation. I couldn't find a proper Guru. And suddenly one day I was walking around the banks of Yamuna. I saw an old man with a white beard. He told me, oh son, why are you searching in vain? Go to Mathura. There is the king there. He is a great teacher. மன்னர் குலத்தில் பிறந்தவன் வட மாமதுரைப்பதி ஆள்கின்றான். கண்ணன் தன்னை சரண் என்று போவையே. Just go to him. He is the great Guru. So then I went all the way to Mathura. I met the king. Such lavish life he was living. All the time he was busy in the royal affairs. So busy in administration, in taking care of all his subjects and everything. And in all the rest of the times, he was indulging in song and dance. I was wondering, what is this Guru? He has not even taught me one lesson so far. So I somehow thought that that old man was completely misled me. If I meet him again, I'll kill him. This Guru is fake, and that old man who led me here is also fake. The moment that such thought arose in my mind, the king called me. He took me to a secluded place, and then he taught me such great wisdom. சோதி அறிவில் விளங்கவும் உயர் சூழ்ச்சி மதியில் விளங்கவும் அற நீதிமுறை வழுவாமலே எந்த நேரமும் பூமி தொழில் செய்து. The Guru taught me Karma Yoga, how to live in this world without being attached to the world. Intellect illuminated by the jnana, mind fired up by the higher purpose. All activities in accordance with the dharma. Do work in this world like me. That's the teaching he gave. And then comes Kannan, the playful boy. This song, Tírāda விளையாட்டு பிள்ளை கண்ணன் தெருவிலே பெண்களுக்கு ஓயாத தொல்லை. Many of you must have heard. It's sung in all concerts. It is sung, it is played in the mandolin, violin, everything. So, restless, playful boy is Kannan. Tírāda விளையாட்டு பிள்ளை. If he is on the street, all girls are in trouble. They are agitated. He troubles them so much. He pulls their hair dressing. He throws mud at them. He just pulls their clothes off. The girls are all big trouble for them. So that way he keeps on narrating the Leelas of Sri Krishna. Very beautiful lyrics. I'll just take one stanza from this beautiful poem. Tinna palam kondu taruvan, பாதி தின்கின்ற போதிலே தட்டி பறிப்பான். This Kannan brings a fruit for me to eat. I keep eating. Oh, great fruit, very nice. He just snatches it halfway when I am relishing it. I'm so angry. Then I plead him. Oh, Kannan, you are such a nice person. You are my Raja. Please give me. When I do all this, he just puts it in his mouth. And nicely he rotates the fruit inside his mouth. He takes a bite and then gives it back to me. Do you think I would feel like eating it? Of course. He doesn't say that, The stanza just stops. Echil paduthi kadithu koduppan. Oh, how playful boy the Kannan is. Just think about this metaphor. It's so philosophical. The Krishna brings all the fruits for you to eat, the sweet and bitter fruits. You keep eating and you offer that fruit for him. And whatever he gives as prasada, that if you eat, you transcend all those tastes. That's what this means. Kannamma. So Kannan is obviously a masculine gender word. So when Bharati wants to look at Kannan in feminine way, so he calls him Kannamma. So this is a famous Tamil word. Colloquially it is used. A husband calls his wife as Kannamma. So a mother calls her daughter lovingly Kannamma, like that. Kan also means eye. You are like my eye. That is the implied meaning here. So when Bharati wants to sing, look at Krishna as a child, he didn't look at him as a boy child. Okay? So he looked at him as a girl child. Because you know why? Bharati didn't have a son, but he had two daughters, Shakuntala and Tangamma. So it is the love of the daughter, the love of the girl child that was overflowing, brimming in Bharati's heart. And that's what, with that, a very inborn natural love of a father for his daughter, he sang this intimate personal experience. Kannamma en Kulandai. Kannamma, my child. Chinnanjirukiliye, Kannamma, selva kalanjiyame. Ennai kali teerthe, ulagil yetram puriyam. Very, very popular and very moving and touching song this is. This is a very famous lullaby which every Tamil father sings, father or mother, they sing to their child. The words in this lyrics are untranslatable. They are so beautiful. If I translate, it will look like, cute little parrot, Kannamma, you are the treasure, my wealth, like that. But the feeling in this poem untranslated. Now we come to last. We come to the love poems, the most exalted one. So Kannan Bharati has written both kind of love poems. Kannan and Kadalan, taking Krishna as his lover, and Kannamma and Kadali, Krishna as his lady love. So there are 6 poems in each of these categories. These poems are very popular. Of course, as you know, the love poems are the most popular, right? So they have, some of these have come in films. And there are many moods of love that Bharati expresses in this poem. There is this pangs of separation, the viraha, Tundil Pulvinai Pol, Veli Sudar Lakchinai Pol. How I am suffering in the pangs of separation for Krishna. He expresses it through many metaphors. There is this another poem, Dikku Theriyada Kaattil, where he says, oh, I'm just roaming around in this dense forest. I have lost my way. And suddenly this rogue person comes and he tries to intimidate me. I just cried, Kanna, Kanna, and then I fainted. Next moment, Kannan is standing before me. So there is one song like this, a very, very nice song. And there is this another song, Kannan Mananilayai Tangame Tangam, Kanduvara Venumadi Tangame Tangam, where the poet sends his friend Sakhi as a messenger to Kannan. Another beautiful song, Asai Mugam Marandu Pochi. It's a wonderful song. Did I forget his face, the ever affectionate face, Kannan's face? The lover gets doubtful. She gets doubtful. He says, Asai Mugam Marandu Poche. How can I forget? In my eyes, his form is etched. But that form, it doesn't have the fullness of his beauty. Kannil theriyudoru thotram, adil Kannan alagu muzhudillai. Oh, my friend, did I forget his loving face? Thenai marandirukkum vandum, ஒளி சிறப்பை மறந்து விட்ட பூவும் வானை மறந்திருக்கும் பயிரும் இந்த வையம் முழுதும் இல்லை தோல். How can a bee forget the sweetness of honey? In fact, the very existence of a bee is to taste honey. How can a flower forget the touch of sunlight? Sunlight is the very life of a flower. I mean, sunlight is the one which makes the flower bloom and live. How can a crop forget the droplet of rain? Oh friend, how can I forget Kannan's face? She asks. Kannan uru marandu ponal, இந்த கண்கள் இருந்தும் பயனுண்டோ? If these eyes, if they forget Krishna's form, what is the use of having those eyes? A beautiful poem. There are similar poems on Kannamma also. There is this poem, Suttum Vilichudardan, Kannamma Suriya Chandiraru, where the Kannamma's beauty is seen in nature. Oh, are your eyes, are they like sun and moon? The blackness in your eye, is it like the dark sky? The poem goes on like that. And there's another poem, Niritta Thiraikadalil Ninmugam Kande, Neela Visumbinide Ninmugam Kande, Thiritta Nurayinide Ninmugam Kande, Chinna Kumirigalil Ninmugam Kande. In the billowing waves of the ocean, I saw your face. In the blue sky, what I saw was your face. In the encircling foams, I saw your face. In the tiny water bubbles, I saw your face. Pirittu pirittu nidam megam alande, petrathu unmugamandri piridondrille. I looked and looked again at these clouds of variegated patterns. Crisscrossed them. I separately saw them. I saw them together. Whatever I do, in that, it is your face that I see and nothing else. So Bharati sings about Kannamma. There's another poem, Tirthakarainile, which expresses the longing and pain and anguish. There are philosophical poems like Payumoru Parkum Vili Nanunak, Visu Kamal Ni Enak Viriyu Malar Nanunak, Yesu Porul Ni Enak Penum Mori Nanunak. Fragrance you are for me, blooming flower I am for you. Substance of speech you are for me, the language I am for you. It goes. நேசமுள்ள வான் சுடரே நின் அழகை ஏதுரைப்பேன் ஆசை மதுவே கனியே அள்ளு சுவையே கண்ணம். Oh, light of the sky beyond, how shall I describe your divine sublime beauty, Kannamma? So that ends the poems. Let's come back to the question that we had at the start of this session. So why should a devotee, so in a way, all these are relationships, right? Father, mother, friend, teacher, student, lover, child, king, different kinds of relationship. The moment when you say relationship, it is relative, it's not absolute, right? So the very word relationship means, so there is nothing absolute in a relationship. So one person can be a different relation for many. So, a person can be a father for someone, friend for some other person. But in this case, it is just one Kannan and one Bharati. It is the same Kannan who is all relations for the same Bharati. What did he do? The Lord says, Krishna says in the Gita, Mat karmakran mat paramo, mat bhakta sangavarjitaha, nirvaira sarva bhuteshu, yassa mameti pandava. Mat karmakran, always do my work. Take me as the supreme. Become my bhakta. And devoid of all attachments. Nirvaira sarva bhuteshu, not having enmity with any creature in the world. He comes to me. Yes, mameti pandava. He said. This is a great teaching in the Gita. So whatever you do, there has to be the Lord, the divine, Krishna, the Brahman in that. Shankara in his Bhashya says, Sarvasya Gita Shastrasya Sarabhutakaha Arthaha Nishreya Sarthaha. This shloka gives the quintessential summary of the Gita's teaching. And while explaining this term, Mad Bhaktaha, become my devotee, Shankara writes, Mameva Sarva Prakaraihi Sarvatmana Sarvotsahena Bhajate Mad Bhaktaha. He is my devotee who worships me in all possible ways. Sarva Prakaraihi Sarvatmana, with all his heart, with total enthusiasm. You see him as your father, mother, friend, everyone. So that is possible. And these relationships are all dualities. That they are complementary and contradictory, opposed to each other. Student-teacher relationship, lover-love relationship. But Krishna is absolute. He is beyond all these relative things and relationships. And he is the one who makes every one of these relationships meaningful. You go to Upanishads, in Brihadaranyaka, what does Yajnavalkya say? In fact, he says this to his wife, Maitreyi. He says, Oh Maitreyi, do you think a husband loves wife for wife's sake? Do you think a wife loves husband for husband's sake? So he keeps on posing questions like this. And then he says, Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. It is the love for the self. It is the love for the Atman, that principle, due to which everything becomes dear to us. Everything becomes lovable to us. So that is the absolute. So Krishna is the absolute. So he becomes every relationship, and he also goes beyond every other relationship. it is to convey this Vedantic idea, Bharati. He doesn't say this very explicitly, but I think because Bharati was a great Vedantin, he had an in-depth and profound understanding of the Vedanta. He translated Upanishads. He translated the entire Bhagavad Gita in Tamil. The most beautiful Gita translation in Tamil is by Subramania Bharati. So through this Kannan Paattu, he conveys the same idea. Was he the first to do that? No. Nammalvar, the foremost of all the Alvars, he sings so beautifully. உற்றார்கள் எனக்கில்லை யாரும் என்னும் உற்றார்கள் எனக்கிங்கு எல்லாரும் என்னும் உற்றார்களை செய்வேனும் யானே என்னும் உற்றார்களை அழிப்பேனும் யானே என்னும் உற்றார்களுக்கு உற்றாரே உற்றேனும் யானே என்னும் உற்றார் இலியன் வந்தேரக்கொலுகோ உற்றீர்கட்கு என் சொல்லி சொல்லுகேன் யான் உற்றென்னுடை பேதை உரைக்கின்றவே. So here, this is a beautiful poem in the Nayaki Bhava. This girl is intoxicated with Krishna. So he is so full of him. So his mother tells about her daughter's pain. What does she says? My little girl says, I have no relations here, in this world. உற்றார்கள் எனக்கு இல்லை யாரும். I am beyond this world. He is my only relation. And then he says, everyone here is my relative. உற்றார்கள் எனக்கு இங்கு எல்லாரும் என்னும். Why does she say? Because he is Sarvatma. And then she says, so the mother says that my daughter starts prattling like this. One moment she says, I have no relations here. In the next moment she says, everyone here is my relative. I am the one who makes relatives relate, she says. I also end all relations. And to those related to me, I become all relations, she says. That is the great Advaita Bhavana. Can it be the Lord of illusions, beyond all relations, who has come and possessed her, taken over her? Is that why she says this? So look at these words of Nammalvar. Utrar ili Mayan Vanderakkolo. The Lord of illusions, Mayan, who is beyond all relations, has he come and taken her over? How can I tell you the state of my daughter? So it is this feeling of Nammalvar, so profound, so sublime, so mystical, that our Bharatiya has expressed all through his Kannan Paattu. With that, I bring these session to end. Thank you all for patiently listening. Thank you, Subbuji, for giving this opportunity to share my thoughts on this Kannan Paattu of Bharatiya. Namaskara.
Mikka Nandri, Dhanyavadaha. After hearing such wonderful reflections on Subramania Bharatiya's Kannan Paattu, which has Krishna as right from a child to a notorious boy who would do mischief to the gopis, to being a friend, to considering Krishna as not only a teacher but as a student. So, and also as a servant, people would look at him as Yajaman, and then would look at him as and then look at the devotee as a dasa, as a dasya bhava. But here is a poet who dared to see the Lord as a servant, and then that's a wonderful perspective. And also the Krishna as Kannamma, as a child, and all those Kannamma as a baby, as a child, or also as a beloved, and all those things, and such wonderful things as you brought back the memories of Asai Mogam Maranda Pochu and all those things are such wonderful compositions. And he did not stop there. He even took to the great epic of Mahabharata as the Panchali Shabadam and all. I think all those are very relevant even today. What Bharatiya would have just now, like Anuradha ji was, expressing to me that what a profound poet he is, who not only stopped there with these different expressions or bhavas, but also a great Desha Bhakta that he was. And rightly, as you presented, he was a devotee of both Shakti and Krishna. That's what we see with Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, who was also a great devotee of Kali and also Krishna, and Swami Vivekananda. So he, perhaps because he imbibed the same lineage through Sister Nivedita, that he had both devotion towards Devi as Shakti and also Krishna. And this, he took it for the Rashtra Bhakti that he had and the Samaja Nirmana, what he envisioned in during his contemporary times. And lot of lessons to learn from Bharatiya's poetry. And thank you so much for bringing these beautiful dimensions on this occasion when we are celebrating Krishna Janmashtami. And it also coincides in 2 days with the day of remembrance of Subramania Bharati, as his Mahasamadhi day would also be approaching us. So with this, once again, on behalf of Adhyatma Yoga and Advaita Academy, I express my pranams, gratitudes to Shri Jatayuji. And as I told you, he was one of the first persons for me to remember and contact in the series. But I just reminded him of the event only 2 days back. That tomorrow you were not even 2 days. I think it was yesterday that I reminded him back that tomorrow it's going to be your talk. So immediately, that he was ever ready, charged, because for him to speak on Bharatiyar or any of these Tamil literature and to Krishna, though he's Jatayu, but in every Rama Bhakta, I see the Krishna Bhakti also being there. So we have seen when people like even Samartha Ramadas or Kabir Das also having compositions on Krishna, and Mirabai would also sing on Rama Ratana Dhanaphayo. So between them, there is not, Ishta Devata, Nishta is very much would be there, but then would also, they would be crossing to the other Devata to experience him also. That way, we are happy that Jatayu ji perhaps took a Garuda Avatara to celebrate Krishna today. From being Jatayu, he would have been Garuda today to bring us Bharatiyar's poem. Once again, we would be, the next time possible, we would like to hear from him of Krishna in the ancient Tamil literatures, like the Sangha literatures and all those things also. I think we don't have much questions because hearing these were itself a great experience, and then it was a joy, pleasure. So once again, we thank Sri Jatayuji for presenting this profound Bharatiyar poems. And before we conclude, I would like to remind you all of tomorrow's things. Again, from Tamil literature, as I told you, even in the ancient literatures as we have. So we're going to have Srimati Hemamalini Prasad, the co-founder of Antar Yoga and also director of Sail Training Institute. She will be presenting on the path of Andal's divine love for Krishna, that is Tirupavai. We have seen or heard few Tirupavai songs being sung by singers like Vaishnavi Anand, and yesterday we have seen Aishwarya Harish from Mumbai also presenting dance to Tirupavai songs. So tomorrow we are going to have a talk on the path of Andal's divine love for Krishna from Tirupavai by Srimati Hemamalini Prasad, and also the Bharatanatyam dance by her blessed daughters, Vidushi Bhumija Prasad and Supraja Prasad. Both will be presenting on Krishna and Andal again in the dance format also. So with this, once again, I thank each one of you for being part of this session, especially Sri Jatayuji and Sri Seshagiriji, who also brought in the beautiful dimension of the arts. So let's conclude with the Utsava Geetam, Krishnam Vande
Jaya Yadukula Tilaka Bhagavan Yamuna Tirajara Devaki Stuta Vasudeva Suta Madhava Madhuramana Swamin Mamavadeva Vara Madhava Madhuramana Swamin Mamavadeva Vara Nandanandakara Gopi Jana Hridayayatana धर वर सहज तरुण मुरलीधरण नट मल्ल विमर्दन मातुल मदन मथुरा नगर पदे माया मोहं मम शमय मथुरा नगर पदे माया मोहं मम शमय रुक्मिण्यपहरणं समरे जाम्बवती वर्णं मणिवर समुदित भामाभरणं विरचितवन्तमहं वन्दे मोहनरूपधरम् विरचितवन्तमहं वन्दे मोहनरूपधरम् कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णां वसनेन पार्थं गीतावचनेन परिपालितवान् योगिवरेण्यो धर्मग्लानिहर शाश्वत गोप्ता मनुजान धर्मग्लानिहर शाश्वत गोप्ता मनुजान तव लीला स्मरणं कृष्ण शोकमोहहरणं तवोपदेशाध्ययनाचरणं पुनरावृत्तिहरं लोके परमानन्दफलम् पुनरावृत्तिहरं लोके परमानन्दफलम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचानूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्।
Jai Shri Krishna, Radhe Krishna. Once again, my humble pranams to Sri Seshagiri ji and Jatayu ji for bringing such wonderful dimensions of arts and poetry, where Krishna is celebrated by great Subramania Bharati in the poetry, and we have seen the various styles of arts from various parts of our country, Bharat. And tomorrow we will meet again in the next episode of Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Jai Shri Krishna.